you got everything you want, and your bird can sing, but you don't get me. You don't get me. It's not bad. I think it's actually pretty good. There's no way I'm gonna hate that in the future, you think? No way. Wait a second. Whoa, that's for Paul. The Beatle Bunch, the Beatle Bunch, and what they all thought of Paul's new song. Any Bird Can Sing? Another one of my throwaways. A horror. You can't see me when your prized possessions start to weigh you down. Alright, I'm sorry. I just have to say it. John, you're wrong. You wrote a fantastic song. You're just gonna have to deal with it. I'm sorry. But on a more serious note, isn't it so common that creative people feel this way about the work they've made in the past? That most of the time, the best you'll ever feel about a project you're working on, it is good enough? That we look back on the past and kind of cringe at what we did? And I will spend all my loving to you. I guess that's part of the creative process. We get better and better as we go further in time, but we look back on the past and know we could have done something different then, and we don't really enjoy what we're doing at the moment. It can be good though, because I for one don't ever want to feel like I've gotten to the top of everything I want to do. That's a ceiling, a barrier. Art doesn't need a barrier. And knowing that the past, with all of its mistakes, got you to where you are right now. And where you are right now, when it comes to the purpose of this video, is nowhere. This song's origin and reasons for being written is one of the most debated Beatles songs I've ever seen, with little to no confirmed facts on who the hell John Lennon was talking about, and we want to know who he's talking about, because whoever he's talking to or about, he doesn't seem to like very much. Okay, two main contenders, and get this, it's either Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones and his girlfriend Marianne Faithfull, or Frank Sinatra. As a kid who grew up in a Catholic Italian parish, I really hope it's not the latter. So take all of this with a grain of salt. What's smaller than a grain of salt? A molecule of salt as we go forward. Okay, so moves like Jagger and his girlfriend Marianne Faithfull. First off, beautiful name. Second off, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones were pretty friendly. They were friends during the Beatles era and even after. And I'll definitely do a video on that coming soon. But Mick Jagger's story goes, a journalist named Richard Simpson proposes that John wrote the song in response to Mick Jagger boasting about his girlfriend Marianne Faithfull. Marianne was a powerhouse of talent, a singer, songwriter, and even an actress, and one of the leading female artists to come with the British invasion. So maybe John Lennon was talking about Mick Jagger's girl or bird can sing, check, she can swing, check, she's green. Maybe green because it stands for money, because she's rich, or jealousy. Nah, that doesn't make sense. And then if the bird is broken, and if prized possessions are getting Mick Jagger down, are we maybe alluding to the idea that John Lennon is poking fun at somebody having wealth and what they spend it on? Because John Lennon spent his money on some interesting possessions as well. I don't necessarily know if he would be condemning another musician for such equal behavior. John always says he's a jealous guy, he's an insecure guy, but what exactly does Mick Jagger have that John Lennon couldn't have? The other hopeful was in response to Frank Sinatra, who said, "I'm tired of kid singers wearing mops of hair thick enough to hide a crate of melons." Which is hilarious, but I don't know if that's enough for John Lennon to try to eviscerate the man in a song. But then you start to hear about Frank Sinatra's personal glossary and lingo. So you know, girl is abroad, and bird allegedly is to refer to the male sex organ, and more specifically, a nickname for his male sex organ. And with the lyrics in hand, it starts to get a little weird, that idea. Tell me that you've got everything you want, and you can sing, but you don't get me. Couple that with Frank Sinatra being on top of the world and considered the embodiment of the fully emancipated man, the kind of man who can get anything he wants. So both very interesting concepts and things to consider. But without John or Paul or any of them giving us some concrete reasons, it all seems like conjecture. And if we're all having a crack at it, let me tell you what I think. I think John Lennon always wrote songs about himself first, even if he was in the beginning talking about another musician or talking about somebody who was boasting about their wealth and their possessions. I think it always came down to him writing about his own life experiences.
I'm thinking about me, or at best Yoko, if it's a love song. I'm saying, you know, I had a good shit today, and this is what I thought this morning, and, you know, and or I love you, Yoko, whatever. I'm singing about me and my life, you know, and if it's relevant for other people's lives, that's all right. Are you hungry? Yeah. Let's give him something to drink.
But when we don't have the full story about something, and we are compelled to interpret, it is in my opinion that John Lennon was writing about himself, in a way, because that's what John Lennon does. Because it was originally titled You Don't Get Me. So since John Lennon never elaborated on what exactly he means, and we can't be sure if he's talking about Mick Jagger's girlfriend, Frank Sinatra, John Lennon himself, or Jesus Christ's younger brother Stanley, the only meaning we can ascertain is that you're right, John. We don't get you. And I'm okay with that. Alright guys, if you have a theory on what this song means or who it's about, I would love to read about it in the comments. And if you don't have a theory, well, you should totally make one up, because that would be hilarious. See you next week. And your bird can sing, but you don't get me. You don't get me. Well, it's not that bad.